Ethan Cole thought he had everything. Millions in the bank, a tech empire, and the respect of everyone who'd ever doubted him. But standing in an elementary school parking lot, watching his ex-wife drive away with two little girls who had his exact blue eyes, he realized he'd lost the only thing that ever mattered. She'd kept them hidden for 5 years. 5 years of birthdays, first words, and bedtime stories he'd never get back. Now he's desperate to reclaim what was stolen, but every move he makes pushes them further away, and the DNA test he ran in secret might have just destroyed his last chance at redemption. What he doesn't know yet is that trust, once shattered, costs more to rebuild than any fortune he's ever made. Will a millionaire's obsession with control cost him the family he never knew he had, or can broken hearts really be made whole again? Subscribe and drop a comment if you've ever had to fight for a second chance you didn't deserve, because this story is about to show you what it really costs. The autumn sun hung low over Maple Ridge Elementary, casting long shadows across the pickup lane. Ethan Cole sat in his sleek black sedan, fingers drumming against the steering wheel. He didn't usually handle these charity visits himself, but something had pulled him here today. The school looked ordinary. Red brick walls, colorful playground equipment, hand-painted murals near the entrance. Kids' laughter floated through the air as parents gathered near the curb, chatting and checking phones. Ethan stepped out, adjusting his tailored suit jacket. At 31, he'd built an empire from nothing. His tech company had made him millions. But standing here among minivans and worn-out sedans, he felt out of place. Principal Harris met him at the entrance, shaking his hand warmly. "Mr. Cole, thank you so much for the computer donation. Our students will benefit tremendously." "Happy to help," Ethan said, his voice measured and professional. They walked through the hallways together, discussing the placement of the new equipment. Ethan nodded at all the right moments, but his mind wandered. Something about this place stirred memories he'd buried deep. When they finished the tour, Principal Harris excused herself to handle a phone call. Ethan found himself near the pickup area again, watching the controlled chaos of parents and children reuniting after a long day. Then he saw her. Time stopped. Naomi Brooks stood near the fence, her dark curls pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore a yellow cardigan over a white dress, looking exactly as he remembered, warm, beautiful, alive. His chest tightened. 5 years. It had been 5 years since he'd last seen her face. Before he could process what was happening, 2 little girls burst through the school doors. "Mommy!" They ran straight to Naomi, their backpacks bouncing. She crouched down, arms open wide, catching them both in a hug that made her laugh. The sound pierced straight through him, but it was their faces that made his world tilt. Blue eyes, the same shade as his own, round cheeks dusted with freckles. Dark curls like their mother's, but those eyes... Ethan's hand found the hood of his car. He couldn't breathe. The girls chattered excitedly, showing Naomi drawings and papers from their backpacks. She kissed their foreheads, smoothed their hair, listened to every word like it was the most important thing in the world. One of the twins looked up suddenly, her gaze landing on Ethan. She tilted her head, curious. For a moment, their eyes met. Then Naomi noticed him. The color drained from her face. She stood quickly, pulling her daughters close. Their eyes locked across the parking lot, his filled with shock, hers with something between fear and defiance. She gathered the girls' hands and hurried toward an older Honda Civic. The twins kept looking back at him, confused by their mother's urgency. Ethan wanted to call out, to run after them, to demand answers, but his feet wouldn't move. He watched as Naomi buckled the girls into car seats, her hands shaking. She glanced at him once more before sliding into the driver's seat. The engine turned over. Brake lights flared red. Then they were gone. Ethan stood there long after the car disappeared down the street. His heart pounded against his ribs. His hands felt cold. Those little girls, those blue eyes. 5 years ago, Naomi had walked out of their penthouse apartment with tears streaming down her face. She'd said she couldn't do it anymore, couldn't compete with his ambition, his work, his obsession with success. He'd let her go, told himself it was for the best, buried himself deeper in his company, in deals and meetings and endless late nights. But those little girls, the dates aligned, the timing fit. Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket, messages from his assistant about tomorrow's meetings. He ignored them all. He drove home in a daze, barely seeing the road. His penthouse felt hollow and cold when he stepped inside. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but the view meant nothing. He poured himself a drink, but didn't touch it. Instead, he found himself at his laptop, searching. Naomi Brooks. The results came quickly. She worked at Maple Ridge Elementary as a kindergarten teacher. Her social media was private, showing only a profile picture. Just her, no children visible. Ethan scrolled through old photos on his phone. Pictures he'd never deleted. Naomi laughing at a restaurant. Naomi asleep on their couch. Naomi in her wedding dress looking at him like he was her whole world. When had it all gone so wrong? He'd been building the company, working 18-hour days. She'd asked him to slow down, to spend time with her, to talk about starting a family. He'd promised soon. So many times the word lost meaning. The night she left played in his mind like a movie he'd watched too many times. I can't compete with your ambition, Ethan. Naomi, please, just give me one more year. Once the expansion's done, there's always one more thing, one more deal, one more year. I need you now, not later. I'm doing this for us, for our future. What future? I'm already losing you. He'd stood in the doorway of their bedroom watching her pack. Every part of him had screamed to stop her, but his pride had kept him silent. She'd looked at him one last time, eyes red from crying. I hope you find what you're looking for, Ethan. I really do. The door had clicked shut behind her. He'd told himself she'd come back, that she was being dramatic, that she didn't understand what he was trying to build. She never came back. And now, Ethan stared at the twins' faces in his mind. 5 years old. The math was simple. She must have found out she was pregnant after leaving, and she'd never told him. Anger flared hot in his chest. How could she keep something like that from him? They were his daughters, his family. But underneath the anger was something else. Fear, guilt, the crushing weight of everything he'd lost. He fell asleep on the couch, still dressed in his suit, their wedding photo clutched in his hand. Morning light burned through the windows. Ethan woke with his neck aching and his mind already racing. He had to know the truth. Ethan called his assistant and cancelled every meeting for the day. She sounded shocked. He never cancelled meetings, but he didn't care. Some things mattered more than business. He drove back to Maple Ridge Elementary, this time with a folder of paperwork about the computer donation. A flimsy excuse, but it would get him inside. The hallways smelled like crayons and cleaning supplies. Children's artwork covered every wall, bright colors, messy handprints, crooked letters spelling out their names. He found the main office and asked for Principal Harris. The secretary smiled politely and went to fetch her. While he waited, Ethan's eyes scanned every person who walked past. Teachers, parents, students. His heart jumped at every woman with dark hair. Then he saw her. Naomi walked down the hallway carrying a stack of books. She wore jeans and a soft pink sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked tired, worried. Their eyes met. The books slipped from her hands, clattering to the floor. Students nearby jumped, startled. Naomi bent quickly to gather them, her hands shaking. Ethan moved toward her instinctively. "Let me help." "No." Her voice was sharp. "I've got it." He stopped. The hallway suddenly felt too small, too crowded. Other teachers glanced their way, curious. Principal Harris appeared, breaking the tension. "Mr. Cole, I didn't expect you back so soon. Just wanted to follow up on the installation schedule," he said, forcing his professional voice back into place. Naomi straightened, books clutched against her chest. She wouldn't look at him. "Mrs. Brooks, have you met Mr. Cole? He's the generous donor I mentioned," Principal Harris said warmly. Naomi's jaw tightened. "We've met." The words hung heavy in the air. Principal Harris sensed the tension, but smiled diplomatically. "Wonderful. Well, Mr. Cole, let's discuss those details in my office." Ethan let himself be led away, but he looked back. Naomi stood frozen in the hallway, watching him go. Her expression was impossible to read. Fear, anger, sadness all mixed together. He barely heard anything Principal Harris said. His mind kept replaying the moment their eyes had met, the way she'd dropped those books, the tremor in her voice. She knew he knew. The afternoon dragged. Ethan sat in the parking lot after his meeting, waiting. He knew this made him look desperate, maybe even creepy, but he couldn't leave without talking to her. The school day ended. Children poured out, loud and energetic. Parents lined up at the curb. Naomi emerged with her class, guiding students to their parents. She crouched down to tie a little boy's shoe, reminded another girl to take her lunchbox. She was patient, kind, present in every moment. The twins came out last, running to her side. They chatted about their day, and she listened with that same focused attention he remembered from their marriage. Back then, she'd listened to him like that, before he'd stopped making time for conversations. Ethan waited until most families had left. Then he approached. Naomi saw him coming. Her body went rigid. "Girls, get in the car," she said quietly. "But Mommy," one twin started. "Now please." The girls obeyed, sensing their mother's tone. They climbed into the car, pressing their faces against the windows to watch. Naomi turned to face him. "What do you want?" "To talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "Naomi, please." His voice cracked despite himself. "Those girls are my daughters." Her eyes flashed. "Mine. Leave us alone, Ethan. I saw them. I saw their—" "You saw 2 children. That's all. They have my eyes." Naomi's face hardened. "Lots of people have blue eyes. Don't do this. Don't lie to me. You lost the right to make demands 5 years ago." Her voice shook now, emotion breaking through. "You chose your company, your meetings, your success. You chose everything except me." The words hit like physical blows. "I was wrong. I know I was wrong. And now you show up here?" She stepped closer, anger giving her courage. "After 5 years, you don't get to disrupt our lives because you suddenly feel curious." "Curious?" Ethan's voice rose. "Naomi, if they're mine—" "If?" She laughed bitterly. "There is no if. There's only my daughters and the life we've built without you." One of the twins knocked on the window. "Mommy?" Naomi's expression softened instantly when she looked at her daughters. Then she turned back to Ethan, and that wall came up again. "Stay away from us," she said quietly. "Please, just stay away." She got in her car, buckled her seatbelt, started the engine. Ethan stood there as they drove off, the taillights glowing red in the fading daylight. The parking lot emptied around him. The sky turned purple and orange, but he couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. Because everything she'd said was true. That night, Ethan lay in his bed staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. His mind kept spinning the same thoughts over and over. The marriage played in his memory like scenes from someone else's life. They'd met at a charity fundraiser. She'd been volunteering, helping coordinate the silent auction. He'd been there networking, looking for investors. But when he saw her laugh, really laugh, head thrown back, completely genuine, he'd forgotten about business entirely. They'd talked for hours that night. She'd challenged him, made him think, made him want to be better. Within 6 months, they were married. The first year had been good, great even. She'd supported his dreams. He'd made time for dinners together, weekend trips, lazy Sunday mornings. But then the company started growing faster than he'd expected. Opportunities came flooding in. He couldn't say no, couldn't slow down. The more he worked, the more success came. And the more success came, the more he needed to work to maintain it. Naomi had tried to talk to him, tried to tell him she felt alone, that they never spent time together anymore, that she wanted to start a family before it was too late. He'd brushed her off, promised things would change, asked for patience. The night she left, she'd stood in their bedroom doorway one last time. "I love you, Ethan. I've loved you since the day we met, but I can't live with your ghost anymore. You're here, but you're not really here. And I deserve someone who shows up. Naomi, please. I hope one day you wake up and realize what you lost. I really do. But I can't wait around for that day." She'd walked out. He'd stood there, too proud to chase her, too convinced he was right. The divorce papers had arrived 3 months later. He'd signed them in a conference room between meetings. He'd told himself he was better off alone, that relationships were distractions, that success meant more than sentiment. But lying here now, in this empty penthouse, Ethan realized how wrong he'd been. He'd built an empire, made millions. His name was recognized in business circles, and he'd lost everything that actually mattered. Those little girls at the school, Ava and Mia, he'd learned their names from quietly asking around. They were 5 years old. The timeline was undeniable. Naomi must have discovered she was pregnant after leaving, and she'd made the choice not to tell him. Part of him understood. He'd proven himself unreliable, absent, focused on everything except her. But another part, the wounded, desperate part, felt robbed. Those were years he could never get back. First steps, first words, birthdays, bedtime stories, all of it, gone. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Messages from his assistant, his business partner, 3 potential clients. He ignored them all. For the first time in years, work didn't matter. The next morning, Ethan returned to the school. He knew he was pushing, maybe crossing lines, but he couldn't help himself. Principal Harris seemed surprised to see him again. "Mr. Cole, is everything all right with the donation?" "Everything's fine," he lied. "I just wanted to see the computers being installed. Make sure everything's working properly." It was a weak excuse. but she accepted it graciously. Ethan wandered the halls, pretending to inspect equipment while really searching for Naomi's classroom. He found it on the second floor, colorful, warm, filled with tiny chairs and educational posters. Through the doorway, he could see her reading to her class. The children sat cross-legged on a rainbow-colored rug, transfixed. She used different voices for each character, making them giggle. The twins sat in the front row. They looked so much like her. The shape of their faces, their expressions, the way they tilted their heads when curious. But those blue eyes, those were his. As if sensing his presence, one twin, Ava, he thought, turned toward the door. She smiled at him, innocent and open. Naomi followed her gaze. Her eyes met Ethan's. She quickly looked away, but her voice faltered mid-sentence. The story continued, but her hands trembled slightly as she turned the pages. After a few minutes, a student dropped something. A drawing fluttered across the floor, landing near Ethan's feet. He bent to pick it up. 3 stick figures drawn in crayon, one with yellow curls labeled Mommy, 2 smaller ones labeled Me and Sister, and a third figure, taller, labeled simply Daddy. The Daddy figure had blue eyes colored carefully with a bright blue crayon. Ethan's throat tightened. Naomi rushed over, her expression panicked. "Ava, sweetie, you dropped—" She saw what Ethan was holding. Her face went pale. She snatched the drawing from his hands. "Thank you," she said stiffly. "Naomi, I'm teaching. Please leave." She turned away, blocking him out. But he'd seen her eyes. The fear, the guilt, the pain. Ava looked between them, confused. "Mommy, who's that man?" "No one, baby. Just a visitor." "No one." The words stung more than Ethan expected. He backed away, but not before pocketing a blue crayon that had rolled near his shoe. He didn't know why. It seemed important somehow. Proof that this was real. By lunchtime, Ethan sat in his car texting his best friend. "Need to talk. Can you meet?" Marcus Reed responded immediately. "Lunch at O'Malley's, noon. See you there." O'Malley's was a quiet pub downtown, dark wood and leather booths. Marcus was already waiting when Ethan arrived, concern written across his face. "So you look terrible," Marcus said bluntly. "What's going on?" Ethan slid into the booth. "I saw Naomi." Marcus's eyebrows shot up. "Naomi? Your ex-wife Naomi? She has twin daughters." Ethan's voice was flat, exhausted. "They're 5 years old. They have my eyes, Marcus, they have my eyes." Understanding dawned on Marcus's face. Oh no, she never told me." The words came out broken. "All this time, I have daughters, and she never told me." "Are you sure they're yours?" "I'm sure." Marcus leaned back, processing. As an attorney, his mind was already working through implications. "Ethan, you need to be careful here. If you go in aggressively, paternity tests, custody battles, you could destroy any chance of building a relationship with them." "I don't want a battle, I just want—" Ethan stopped. What did he want? "I want to know them. I want to be their father." "Does Naomi know you know?" "She's denying everything, but she knows. Give her time." "This is a shock for both of you." "Time?" Ethan's voice rose. "I've already lost 5 years, and you'll lose a lot more if you push too hard." Marcus's tone was gentle but firm. "Think about this. Why didn't she tell you? Because she hates me, or because she was protecting them? From your point of view, yes, you've changed. You're ready now. But from hers, you were the guy who chose work over her. Every single time, the truth of it burned. So what do I do? Prove you've changed. Show her you're not that guy anymore. Be patient." Marcus paused. "And maybe talk to a family lawyer, just to know your rights. Not to use them, just to know." Ethan nodded slowly. His food arrived, but he couldn't eat. After lunch, he sat in his car outside Naomi's house. He'd looked up her address online, something that made him feel like a stalker, but desperation overrode shame. It was a modest neighborhood, small homes with front porches and actual yards, kids' bikes on lawns, basketball hoops over driveways. Naomi's house was painted pale blue with white trim, flower boxes under the windows, a small garden out front. Rain started falling, soft at first, then harder. Ethan sat there watching water stream down his windshield. Lights glowed warm inside the house. Shadows moved past windows. His family was in there, his daughters, his ex-wife who he'd never stopped loving, even when he'd been too stubborn to admit it. And he was out here in the rain, separated by years of mistakes and walls of mistrust. He started the engine, drove to the house, cut the engine again. This was crazy. She'd told him to stay away, but he couldn't. He couldn't sit in his empty penthouse one more night, knowing his daughters were out here in the world, not knowing he existed. Ethan got out of the car. Rain soaked through his shirt instantly. He walked up to the porch and knocked. Footsteps inside. The door opened. Naomi stood there, shock and anger flooding her face. "What are you doing here? We need to talk. I told you—" "Please, Naomi, please. Just 5 minutes." She glanced back into the house, then stepped outside, closing the door behind her. They stood on the porch, rain drumming on the roof above them. "You can't just show up at my home," she said, her voice shaking. "This is my safe place. Our safe place. I know. I'm sorry, but I can't pretend I didn't see them. I can't pretend those little girls don't exist. They've existed for 5 years without you." The words were meant to wound, and they succeeded. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice cracked. "Even if you hated me, even if you never wanted to see me again, why didn't you tell me about them?" "Because you would have done exactly what you're doing now." Her voice rose. "You would have swooped in with your money and your lawyers and turned everything upside down. I wouldn't. You didn't have time for me, Ethan. You didn't have time for our marriage. Why would I believe you'd have time for 2 babies? You would have seen them as obligations, distractions. I wasn't going to let my daughters grow up feeling like burdens." The accusation hung between them, heavy and undeniable. "You're right," Ethan said quietly. "Back then, you were right. I was terrible. I was selfish and blind and stupid. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me because I thought success mattered more than love." Naomi's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "But I'm not that person anymore," he continued. "The last 5 years, I've had nothing but success, Naomi. Nothing but money and deals and empty achievements. And it's hollow. All of it. I built everything I thought I wanted, and it means nothing. That doesn't change what happened. No, it doesn't. And I can't get those years back. I know that." He stepped closer. "But those girls deserve to know their father, and I deserve a chance to be one. You think you can just—" "Mommy!" They both turned. Ava stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. She must have woken up, heard voices. "Mommy, why are you outside?" Her gaze landed on Ethan. Recognition flickered across her small face. "It's the man from school." Mia appeared behind her sister, equally curious. Naomi's face transformed instantly, all the anger and fear replaced by gentle concern. "Go back to bed, sweeties. Mommy's just talking to a friend." "Is he coming inside?" Mia asked. "No, baby. He's leaving." Both girls looked at Ethan with open curiosity. He felt something crack inside his chest. They were so small, so perfect. His daughters. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," they said in unison. "Girls, bed. Now." Naomi's voice was kind, but firm. They disappeared back inside. Naomi turned to him, tears now streaming down her face. "You need to leave," she whispered. "Please, Ethan, just leave us alone. They're happy. They're safe. Don't ruin that." She went inside and closed the door. Ethan stood on the porch, rain drenching him, staring at the closed door. Through the window he could see Naomi kneeling down, hugging her daughters, probably explaining who the strange man was and why Mommy was crying. He walked back to his car, his heart shattered into pieces. That night, Naomi sat on her couch with Mrs. Daniels, her elderly neighbor who'd become like a mother to her. "He knows," Naomi said, her voice hollow. "He figured it out." Mrs. Daniels patted her hand. "And what did you expect, dear? Those girls look just like him. I thought I had more time. I thought—" She trailed off. "You thought you could keep this secret forever. I wanted to protect them from their father, from disappointment, from being abandoned, from—" Naomi's voice broke. "From everything I felt when he chose his company over me." Mrs. Daniels was quiet for a moment. "That's a heavy burden to carry alone, child. Maybe it's time to put it down. What if he tries to take them away? Is that really what you're afraid of?" Naomi looked up, startled. "Or," Mrs. Daniels continued gently, "are you afraid he might actually step up, that he might have really changed? Because if he has, then you kept his daughters from him for 5 years for no reason." The guilt Naomi had been suppressing crashed over her like a wave. "I was angry," she whispered. "I was hurt and angry and scared. And by the time I calmed down enough to think clearly, so much time had passed. How do you call someone after 2 years and say, 'Oh, by the way, you have daughters,' the same way you'd do it after 5 years or 10 or 20? Mrs. Daniels squeezed her hand. "The girls will have questions someday, and they'll want to know why their daddy wasn't there. What will you tell them?" Naomi had no answer. After Mrs. Daniels left, Naomi checked on the girls. They were both asleep, peaceful and innocent. She smoothed Ava's curls, kissed Mia's forehead. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Across town, Ethan sat in his penthouse, their wedding photo on his phone screen. Naomi smiled up at him in the picture, her eyes full of love and hope. He'd destroyed that, piece by piece, meeting by meeting. He'd destroyed the best thing in his life. And now somehow he had to find a way to build it back. Not for himself, for two little girls who didn't even know he existed, for the family he'd never known he had. He pulled out the blue crayon from his pocket, rolled it between his fingers, a drawing of a family, including a daddy with blue eyes. "They deserve to know," he whispered to the empty room. "Even if Naomi never forgives me, even if I have to spend the rest of my life earning their trust, they deserve to know." The city lights sparkled outside his window, beautiful and cold. Ethan set the crayon on his desk where he'd see it every morning, a reminder of what really mattered, a promise to do better, a hope that it wasn't too late. The next morning, Ethan woke with a new sense of purpose. He couldn't undo the past, couldn't take back the years he'd missed, but he could start now, today. He called Principal Harris before 8. "I'd like to increase my donation," he said. "And I was wondering if the school needs volunteers for any upcoming events." There was a pause on the other end. "Actually, we have our fall festival coming up in 2 weeks. We could always use extra hands. Sign me up." If Principal Harris was surprised, she didn't show it. "Wonderful. I'll add your name to the volunteer list." Ethan arrived at the school that afternoon with a check large enough to fund new playground equipment. He made sure to time it during pickup, knowing Naomi would be there. She saw him immediately. Her expression hardened. But before she could avoid him, Principal Harris called out, "Mrs. Brooks, perfect timing. Mr. Cole has generously offered to sponsor our fall festival. I was hoping you could show him around since you're heading up the event planning committee." Naomi's jaw tightened. She looked trapped. "Of course," she said, her voice strained. They walked together in tense silence toward the gymnasium where decorations were stored. Other teachers passed by, smiling and greeting them. To anyone watching, they looked like two adults coordinating a school event. Only Ethan could see Naomi's hands trembling. "You can't do this," she said once they were alone in the gym. "Do what?" "Use money to force your way into our lives. I'm volunteering at a school event. That's all. That's not all. And you know it." She turned to face him. "What do you want, Ethan, really?" "I want to know my daughters. They're not—" "Don't." His voice was quiet but firm. "Please don't lie anymore. I know they're mine. You know they're mine. The question is, what do we do about it?" Naomi's eyes filled with tears. She looked away quickly, blinking them back. "I built a life without you," she said. "A good life. The girls are happy. They're safe. They don't need—" "A father?" The word came out harder than he intended. "Every child needs a father, Naomi. They need a father who shows up, who puts them first, who doesn't disappear into work whenever things get hard. I'm not that person anymore. How am I supposed to believe that? You say you've changed, but words are easy. You said a lot of things during our marriage too, about making time, about priorities, about us." The accusation stung because it was true. Before Ethan could respond, voices echoed in the hallway. Children were being dismissed. Within moments, the twins appeared in the doorway, backpacks bouncing. "Mommy!" They ran to Naomi. She crouched down, her whole face transforming. "Hi, my loves. How was your day?" "Good. We learned about butterflies," Mia said excitedly. "And I got a star on my math paper," Ava added. Both girls noticed Ethan at the same time. They went quiet, curious. "Girls, this is Mr. Cole," Naomi said carefully. "He's helping with the fall festival." "Hi," Mia said shyly. "Hi, Mr. Cole," Ava echoed. Ethan's throat felt tight. "Hi, you can call me Ethan." "That's a funny name," Mia giggled. He smiled, despite the emotion churning inside him. "Yeah, I guess it is." "Do you have kids?" Ava asked innocently. The question hit like a punch. Naomi's face went pale. "Ava, that's not polite," Naomi said quickly. "Come on, we need to get home." "But Mommy, now please." The girls sensed their mother's tone and obeyed, but they kept looking back at Ethan as Naomi hurried them away. Ethan stood alone in the gym, surrounded by boxes of decorations and the ghost of his daughter's laughter. "Do you have kids?" "Yes," he wanted to shout. "Yes, I have 2 beautiful daughters, and I didn't even know they existed." But all he could do was stand there, aching. The 2 weeks before the festival crept by slowly. Ethan threw himself into preparations, showing up at every planning meeting, every setup session. He was professional, helpful, careful not to push, but he was there, always there. Naomi couldn't avoid him completely. They coordinated booth assignments, discussed supply orders, reviewed schedules. Every conversation was polite but strained. The other teachers noticed. "You two have history, don't you?" Mrs. Patterson, a veteran kindergarten teacher, asked Naomi one afternoon. "It's complicated," Naomi said quietly. "Honey, at our age, everything's complicated." Mrs. Patterson smiled kindly. "But that man looks at you like you hung the moon. And those little girls of yours, he watches them like they're the most precious things he's ever seen." Naomi's hands stilled on the box she was unpacking. "It doesn't matter, doesn't it?" Before Naomi could answer, a crash echoed across the gym. One of the booth frames had collapsed. Ethan rushed over with several other volunteers to fix it. Mia had been playing nearby. The falling frame had missed her by inches. Naomi's heart stopped. She ran over, pulling Mia into her arms. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine, Mommy." Mia patted her mother's face. "Don't cry." Naomi hadn't realized she was crying. Ethan knelt beside them, his own face pale with fear. "Is she all right?" "She's fine." Naomi's voice shook. "That frame shouldn't have fallen. I'll make sure everything's secure before the festival." His hand reached out instinctively, as if to touch Mia's hair, but he caught himself. His hand fell back to his side. Mia looked at him curiously. "Why do you look so scared?" "Because," Ethan swallowed hard, "because I'm glad you're not hurt." "You're nice," Mia said simply. Naomi saw something break in Ethan's expression. He looked away quickly, but not before she saw the tears in his eyes. The fall festival arrived on a perfect October Saturday. The weather was crisp and sunny. Families poured through the school gates, kids running toward game booths and food stands. Ethan ran the ring toss booth. He'd practiced the night before, wanting to make sure he understood the game well enough to help the kids. Ava and Mia showed up at his booth mid-morning, Naomi trailing behind them, looking exhausted. "Mr. Ethan," Ava called out, "can we play?" "Of course." He handed them rings, showed them how to aim. When Ava missed, he encouraged her to try again. When Mia landed one, he cheered like she'd won the Olympics. Naomi watched from a few feet away, her expression unreadable. "Again," Mia demanded. "Let's let other kids have a turn," Naomi said gently. "But Mommy, no buts. Come on, let's get some cotton candy." As they walked away, Ava ran back suddenly. She hugged Ethan's leg, quick and spontaneous, then dashed off, giggling. Ethan stood frozen, the feel of her small arms around his leg burning into his memory. The day wore on. Ethan helped run games, handed out prizes, cleaned up spills. Every few minutes he'd spot the twins somewhere in the crowd, their dark curls bouncing, their laughter carrying over the noise. His daughters, right there, so close he could almost touch them, but still impossibly far away. Late afternoon, a photographer from the local paper showed up. She snapped pictures of families, games, happy children. "Can I get a shot of the volunteers?" she asked Principal Harris. "Of course." She gathered volunteers near the main booth. Ethan ended up in the back row. Naomi stood in front with her teaching colleagues, and somehow the twins had wandered over and stood right beside Ethan, grinning at the camera. "Perfect. Say festival." The flash went off. As everyone dispersed, Ava grabbed Ethan's hand. "Can you help us win a goldfish?" Naomi was talking to another parent, not watching. Mia took his other hand. "Please?" Mia added. Ethan's world narrowed to the feeling of their small hands in his. Warm, trusting, perfect. "Of course," he managed to say. They walked together to the goldfish game. Ethan paid for their tosses, helped them aim the ping-pong balls. When Mia won, she jumped up and down, ecstatic. "I did it! I did it!" "You sure did," Ethan said, his voice thick. Naomi appeared then, slightly out of breath. She took in the scene, Ethan holding a goldfish bowl, the twins chattering excitedly on either side of him. Her expression flickered with something. Pain? Longing? Fear? "Girls, it's time to go home." "But Mommy, we just got started," Ava protested. "Now, please." They pouted but obeyed. Ethan handed the goldfish bowl to Ava. Their fingers brushed for just a second. "Thank you, Mr. Ethan," Ava said sweetly. "Yeah, thanks," Mia echoed. They walked away with their mother, but both girls kept turning back, waving. Ethan waved back until they disappeared into the crowd. Later, as the festival wound down, Ethan helped break down booths and pack supplies. He was carrying a box to the storage room when he heard voices in the hallway, Naomi and Principal Harris. "Wonderful seeing you smile today," Principal Harris was saying. "It was a good day," Naomi agreed, "and Mr. Cole certainly was helpful. The girls seemed quite taken with him." A pause. "They don't know who he is. Perhaps they should. It's complicated. Naomi, I've been a principal for 30 years. I've seen a lot of complicated situations, but I've also seen a lot of regret. Those girls are going to have questions someday. Better to have answers ready." Ethan didn't wait to hear more. He set down the box and slipped away, but Principal Harris's words echoed in his mind. Those girls are going to have questions someday. That evening, Naomi sat at her kitchen table with Mrs. Daniels, the goldfish swimming in its bowl on the counter. "He was so good with them today," Naomi said quietly. "Patient, kind. They loved him immediately. Children have good instincts. What if I'm wrong? What if keeping him away is hurting them more than protecting them?" Mrs. Daniels reached across the table, taking Naomi's hand. "Sweetheart, fear is a powerful thing. It can make us build walls so high we forget there's a world outside them." "I'm scared," Naomi whispered. "I'm scared he'll leave again. I'm scared the girls will get attached and he'll disappoint them. I'm scared that you'll get hurt again." Naomi nodded, tears spilling over. "That's the real fear, isn't it? Not about the girls, about your heart." "Maybe, then maybe," Mrs. Daniels said gently, "it's time to stop hiding behind your daughters and admit what you really feel." After Mrs. Daniels left, Naomi checked on the twins. They were both asleep, peaceful. Mia clutched a stuffed butterfly she'd won at the festival. Ava had the ring from the ring toss tucked under her pillow. Naomi sat on the edge of Ava's bed, brushing curls from her daughter's forehead. "What do I do?" she whispered. "How do I protect you and still do the right thing?" No answer came, just the soft sound of breathing and the distant hum of the goldfish tank. Across town, Ethan couldn't sleep either. He paced his penthouse, mind racing. He called Marcus. "It's 11 at night," Marcus answered groggily. "I need to know the truth," Ethan said without preamble. "Legally, officially. I need to know if they're mine." Marcus was suddenly alert. "Ethan, we talked about this, DNA testing without consent." "I know, but there has to be a way." "There is. You could petition the court for a paternity test, but that would mean lawyers, judges, forcing Naomi to comply. Is that really what you want?" Ethan sank onto his couch. "No, but I can't keep living in limbo." "Then talk to her. Really talk to her. Ask for the test voluntarily. She'll say no. Maybe. Or maybe she'll surprise you. But going behind her back will destroy any trust you're trying to build." Ethan knew Marcus was right, but knowing and accepting were different things. After he hung up, Ethan pulled out his phone. The festival photo had been posted on the school's website. There he was in the back row, and there were the twins standing on either side of him, all three of them grinning. They looked like a family. He saved the photo. Then he stared at it for a long time. "Tomorrow," he decided. "Tomorrow I'll ask her to talk. Really talk. No more avoiding, no more pretending. Tomorrow everything would change." Sunday morning, Ethan texted Naomi. "Can we talk? Just the two of us? Please." She didn't respond for 3 hours. Then, coffee shop on Main Street, 2 p.m., alone. Ethan arrived 15 minutes early. He chose a quiet corner table, ordered 2 coffees, one black for him, one with cream and sugar the way Naomi used to like it. She arrived exactly at 2, looking tired but determined. She sat across from him, eyeing the coffee. "You remembered." "I remember everything." Naomi wrapped her hands around the cup but didn't drink. "What do you want, Ethan?" "Honesty. That's all. Just honesty." "About what? Are they mine?" The question hung in the air between them. Other customers chatted around them, oblivious to the weight of this moment. Naomi looked down at her coffee. Her hands trembled slightly. "Yes," she whispered finally. "Yes, they're yours." Even though he'd known, hearing her say it still made his heart stop. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you broke me." Her voice cracked. "You broke me, Ethan. Every day of our marriage, you broke me a little more. Every missed dinner, every forgotten anniversary, every time you chose a meeting over me. By the time I left, I had nothing left to give. I'm sorry. I found out I was pregnant 3 months after I left. 3 months. I stood in that bathroom staring at 2 pink lines, and all I could think was, how can I raise babies alone? But then I thought about calling you, about telling you, and I imagined you at your desk, barely looking up, saying, 'That's great, we'll figure it out later,' and going back to your laptop. The image she painted cut deep. So I didn't call," she continued. I told myself I'd wait until things were more settled, until I had a plan. But months passed, and it got harder. How do you call someone after 6 months, after a year after they're born? You just do anytime, you just call. Easy for you to say now. Her eyes flashed. But back then, you were on magazine covers, business articles calling you a young genius. Your company was worth millions, and I was living with Mrs. Daniels, teaching part-time, pregnant with twins. Our worlds were so far apart. They're still my daughters. I know. She wiped her eyes. I know that. I've always known that. And the guilt has eaten me alive for 5 years. Then let me be their father, please, Naomi, let me try. And what happens when you get bored? When the novelty wears off? When your next big deal comes along? That won't happen. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Ethan leaned forward. I've spent 5 years building an empire that means nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'd give it all up tomorrow. All the money, all the success, for one more chance. One chance to be the man you needed me to be. The father our daughters deserve. Naomi's tears fell freely now. I want to believe you. Then believe me. I can't. She shook her head. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The trust is broken, Ethan. You broke it. And trust isn't something you can fix with words. Then what? What do I need to do? She was quiet for a long moment. Show me. Not with money or grand gestures. Show me you've changed. Show me you can put them first. Show me this isn't just guilt or nostalgia talking. How? Be present, be consistent, be patient. She stood up. And pray I don't regret giving you this chance. She left without drinking her coffee. Ethan sat there for a long time, processing everything. She'd said yes. In her own way, she'd said yes. It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't trust, but it was a crack in the wall, and he'd take it. Over the next week, Ethan was careful, deliberate. He didn't push, didn't show up unannounced. Instead, he asked permission for everything. Can I volunteer at the school reading program? Naomi's response came hours later. Fine. Tuesdays at 3 p.m. So every Tuesday, Ethan read stories to kindergartners. The twins would sit in the front, hanging on every word. Ava loved adventure stories. Mia preferred silly books that made her giggle. He learned their personalities, their quirks, the way Ava bit her lip when concentrating, the way Mia tucked her hair behind her ear when shy. His daughters. Learning them felt like discovering a new language. Difficult but beautiful. After 2 weeks, Naomi stopped hovering. She'd leave him with the class, trusting him to manage. It was progress. Small but real. One evening, as parents picked up their children, it started raining. Hard. Naomi had walked to school that day and her car was at home. I can drive you, Ethan offered. She hesitated. Please, it's just a ride. Finally, she nodded. Okay. The twins were thrilled. They'd never been in Ethan's car before. Sleek and expensive, so different from their mum's old Honda. Whoa, Mia breathed. This is like a spaceship, Ethan laughed. Kind of, yeah. The drive to Naomi's house was short. Rain drummed on the roof. The girls chattered in the back, asking a million questions about buttons and features. Naomi stayed quiet, watching the streets pass. Thank you, she said when they arrived, for the ride and for everything else. I meant what I said. I'm here. However you need me. She looked at him then, really looked at him. Her expression was softer than he'd seen in weeks. Come inside, she said suddenly. For dinner, if you want. Ethan's heart jumped. Are you sure? No, but do it anyway before I change my mind. The house smelled like cinnamon and warmth, small but cozy. Pictures covered every surface, the twins at various ages, school photos, candid shots of them laughing. 5 years of life he'd missed, captured in frames. Naomi made spaghetti while Ethan sat at the kitchen table. The twins showed him their toys, their books, their goldfish they'd named Bubbles. It felt surreal, domestic, like playing house, except this was real. Can Ethan stay for stories? Ava asked during dinner. Naomi glanced at him. That's up to him. I'd love to, he said. After dinner, they all sat in the girls' room. Ethan read 3 books. The twins snuggled close, one on each side, their small bodies warm against his, their trust absolute. When they fell asleep, Naomi stood in the doorway watching. Her expression was unreadable. They moved to the living room. Naomi made tea. They sat on opposite ends of the couch. They love you already, she said quietly. They don't know who I am. No, but when I tell them, she trailed off. When I tell them, it'll break them if you leave. I won't leave. You don't know that. Life happens. Situations change. Naomi, He turned to face her fully. I lost you once because I was stupid and blind. I won't make that mistake again. Those girls are my life now. Even if you never forgive me, even if we never... He stopped. They're my life. She studied his face, searching for lies, for cracks. Okay, she said finally. Okay? Okay, I believe you. Or at least I want to. So, let's try this. Slowly. You can spend time with them. Here, supervised. We'll see how it goes. Relief flooded through him. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If you hurt them, I won't. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The rain had stopped. Streetlights glowed through the windows. This feels like old times, Ethan said softly. Us, sitting together, talking. A lot has changed since then. Some things haven't. She looked at him. What do you mean? He wanted to say, I still love you. Wanted to tell her that every smile, every laugh, every moment with her reminded him of what he'd lost. That she was still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. But it was too soon, too much. I mean, I'm glad we're talking again, he said instead. She nodded, but something flickered in her eyes. Disappointment? Hope? He couldn't tell. He left an hour later, his heart full in a way it hadn't been in years. Progress. Real progress. But as he drove home, doubt crept in. What if she changed her mind? What if something happened and she decided he wasn't trustworthy after all? He needed certainty, needed to know, legally and officially, that those girls were his, that no matter what, he had rights. The thought felt dirty, wrong, like he was betraying the fragile trust Naomi was extending, but it also felt necessary. Over the next few days, Ethan wrestled with himself. He showed up for reading time, helped with homework, played in the park with the twins while Naomi watched. Every moment solidified what he already knew. They were his, completely, undeniably his. But that voice in his head whispered, what if she takes them away? What if you lose them like you lost her? Finally, he made a decision. He'd get the DNA test, just for himself, just to have official proof. He wouldn't use it against Naomi, wouldn't wave it around. He'd just have it for security. At the next reading session, he collected the juice box Mia had been drinking. When no one was looking, he slipped it into his bag. Guilt churned in his stomach, but he pushed it down, just this once, just to be sure. He sent it to a private lab that promised discretion and fast results. 3 days, they said. Those 3 days were torture. Ethan continued showing up, playing with the girls, earning Naomi's trust, all while knowing he'd betrayed her in the worst possible way. On the 3rd day, the results came via email. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. Ethan stared at the screen. He'd known. Of course he'd known. But seeing it in black and white made it real. He printed the document, folded it, put it in his jacket pocket. Just in case, he told himself, just in case I ever need it. That evening, he arrived at Naomi's house for dinner. It was becoming routine now. Twice a week, he'd come over, eat with them, help with bedtime. The twins greeted him at the door with hugs. Naomi smiled from the kitchen, more relaxed than he'd ever seen her. You're just in time. Chicken's almost ready. They ate together like a real family. The girls told stories about school. Naomi laughed at Ethan's bad jokes. Everything felt right, perfect. After dinner, Naomi asked him to grab plates from the dishwasher. When he bent down, his jacket slipped off the back of the chair. Papers scattered across the floor. Naomi bent to help gather them. Her hand closed around a folded document. She opened it without thinking. Then she went very still. Ethan saw her face change, saw the moment she read the words, saw everything they'd built crumble in an instant. What is this? Her voice was barely a whisper. Naomi, what is this? Louder now. The twins looked up from their coloring, sensing tension. Ethan's mouth went dry. I needed to know. You tested them. Her hands shook. You tested our daughters behind my back. I just needed proof. Proof. She stood suddenly, the paper crushed in her fist. I told you the truth. I gave you a chance, and you went behind my back anyway. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, Ethan. Explain how this isn't exactly what I was afraid of. You don't trust me. You never trusted me. That's not true. Mommy! Ava's voice was small, frightened. Why are you yelling? Naomi's face crumpled. She looked at the girls, at the DNA results, at Ethan. Get out, she said. Naomi, please, get out! The twins started crying. Ethan moved toward them instinctively, but Naomi blocked him. Don't you dare touch them. Tears streamed down her face. I trusted you, I let you in, and you did this. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo what you did. She pointed to the door. Leave, now, and don't come back. You can't keep me from them. They're my daughters. Oh, now you want to use that? Now you want to play the father's rights card? She laughed bitterly. Go ahead, take me to court. Bring your lawyers and your money and your fancy DNA test. But you'll never, ever have what you just destroyed. Her words hit like physical blows. The twins were crying harder now, clutching each other. They didn't understand what was happening, just that their mother was devastated and the man they'd grown to love was being sent away. Ethan looked at them, his daughters, and felt his heart shatter. I'm sorry, he whispered one more time. Then he left. The rain started as he reached his car. He sat in the driver's seat, the door still open, rain soaking him. Inside the house he could hear Naomi's sobs, the twins crying, the sound of a family breaking apart. Because of him. Again, he'd done exactly what he'd sworn not to do. He'd broken their trust, destroyed the fragile thing they'd been building. For what? A piece of paper confirming what he'd already known in his heart. Ethan drove home through the rain, barely seeing the road. His penthouse was dark and cold when he arrived. He didn't turn on the lights. He just sat in the darkness. The DNA results still crumpled in his hand. He'd won. He had proof. He had rights. And he'd lost everything. Days passed like walking through fog. Ethan went through the motions, showering, dressing, pretending to work. But nothing felt real. He'd ruined everything. Again. Marcus came by on the third day, letting himself in with the spare key Ethan had given him years ago. He found Ethan sitting in the dark, still in yesterday's clothes. Man, you look terrible. Ethan didn't respond. Marcus sat down. Want to talk about it? I destroyed it. All of it. Ethan's voice was hollow. She gave me a chance, and I threw it away. The DNA test. She found it, saw the results, and the look on her face. He closed his eyes. I broke her trust, just like before. I proved I'm exactly the person she thought I was. You made a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A selfish, paranoid choice. Ethan finally looked at his friend. She told me the truth, opened her home to me, let me into her daughters' lives, and I went behind her back anyway because I needed proof, like her word wasn't enough. Marcus was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? I don't know. She told me not to come back. And you're just going to accept that? What choice do I have? You could fight. You have that DNA test. You have legal rights now. Ethan shook his head. She said I could take her to court, bring lawyers and money and force my way in, but I'd never have what I destroyed. He laughed bitterly. She's right. I could win in court and lose everything that matters. So what then? You just give up? I don't know. Ethan stood, pacing. How do I fix this? How do I prove I'm not that guy anymore when I keep acting like that guy? Marcus didn't have an answer. After he left, Ethan sat at his desk. His office felt like a prison. Success surrounded him. Awards on the walls, expensive furniture, a view that cost millions, all of it meaningless. His eyes landed on the twins' drawing pinned to his corkboard, the family portrait with Daddy carefully colored in blue crayon. He'd had that. For a few precious weeks he'd had something real, something worth more than every deal he'd ever made, and he'd destroyed it. At the school, whispers started. The festival photo had appeared in the local paper, Ethan standing with the twins, all three of them smiling. The caption read, "Local entrepreneur Ethan Cole volunteers at Maple Ridge Elementary's Fall Festival." But someone had recognized Naomi in the background, had noticed the resemblance between Ethan and the girls. Gossip spread like wildfire. Are those his daughters? I heard they used to be married. She never mentioned an ex-husband. Did you see how he looks at them? Parents whispered in pickup lines. Teachers exchanged glances. The story grew with each retelling. Principal Harris called Naomi into her office on Monday morning. I wanted to give you a heads up, she said gently. There's been some talk about you and Mr. Cole, about the girls. Naomi's stomach dropped. What kind of talk? Nothing malicious, just curiosity. But I got a call this morning from a reporter asking about the Millionaire's secret family. I didn't comment, but I wanted you to know. The room spun. Oh, God. Naomi, are you all right? No, I'm not all right. She stood abruptly. I need to make a call. She practically ran to her classroom, shutting the door. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone. She didn't have Ethan's current number. She'd deleted it years ago, but she had the school's volunteer list with his contact information. She texted him, "We need to talk, now." His response came within seconds. Where? When? Coffee shop. After school. 3:30. I'll be there. Naomi made it through the day on autopilot. The twins sensed something was wrong. They'd been clingy and sad since Ethan had left. They kept asking when he was coming back. I don't know, sweeties, Naomi had told them. Maybe not for a while. But why? Mia's lip trembled. Did we do something bad? No, baby, no, you did nothing wrong. Then why did he leave? Naomi had no answer that wouldn't hurt them more. Mrs. Daniels picked up the girls after school so Naomi could meet Ethan. She arrived at the coffee shop first, ordering tea she wouldn't drink. Ethan walked in looking like he hadn't slept in days. Dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, hair uncombed. He looked broken. Good, part of her thought viciously. Then immediately felt guilty for thinking it. He sat down across from her. Thank you for calling. Don't thank me. This isn't a reconciliation. She kept her voice steady. Someone leaked that festival photo. A reporter called the school asking about your secret family. Ethan went pale. What? This is getting out of control. If the media picks this up, I'll shut it down. I'll make some calls. Issue a statement. He was already pulling out his phone. And say what? No comment. That'll make it worse. Then what do you want me to do? I don't know. Her voice rose. Other customers glanced over. She lowered it. I don't know. I just know my daughter's faces could end up in tabloids because of this. Because of us. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Naomi. Sorry doesn't fix this. I know. He looked devastated. But for what it's worth, I am. About everything. The DNA test, the publicity, all of it. I've made nothing but mistakes since I saw you again. Why did you do it? The question burst out. Why couldn't you just trust me? Because I'm terrified. The admission seemed to surprise even him. I'm terrified of losing them, of losing you, again. I lost you once because of my stupidity and it destroyed me. When I found out about the girls, I couldn't breathe thinking I might lose them too. So I needed something concrete, something that couldn't be taken away. Their paternity isn't what matters, Ethan. Their hearts do, and you broke those too. He flinched like she'd hit him. They ask about you every day, Naomi continued, tears welling. Mia cries at bedtime. Ava drew a picture of you and ripped it up because she was mad you left. They don't understand why someone who seemed to love them just disappeared. Can I see them, please? I don't know. I don't know if that's good for them. Every time they get attached, every time they trust you, you do something that proves I was right to keep you away. The words hung between them, sharp and true. Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face darkened. It's my assistant. The story's going online. Someone from my company leaked it. What? He showed her his phone. A gossip website had posted the festival photo with a headline, Tech Mogul's Hidden Family, Ethan Cole's Secret Past Revealed. Naomi felt sick. No. The article was mostly speculation. No real facts, just theories and rumors. But it had their names. The school's name. Enough information for other outlets to dig deeper. I'm going to fix this, Ethan said, standing abruptly. I promise. I'll find out who leaked it and shut this down. How? I'll figure it out. Just, please, keep the girls safe. Don't let them see any of this. He left in a rush, phone already to his ear. Naomi sat alone with her cold tea and her racing thoughts. How had everything fallen apart so fast? Ethan stormed into his office building like a man possessed. Employees scattered as he passed. He went straight to his assistant's desk. Who leaked the photo? She looked terrified. Mr. Cole, Who? It was Bradley. From marketing. He thought it would be good publicity. For your image. He didn't mean... Ethan didn't wait to hear more. He found Bradley in his office, looking smug until he saw Ethan's expression. You're fired, Ethan said coldly. What? You can't... I can, and I am. You violated privacy. My family's privacy. Pack your things. Security will escort you out. But I was trying to help. Humanize you, show your softer side. You exploited my daughters for publicity. Ethan's voice was dangerously quiet. Get out. Now. After Bradley was escorted out, Ethan called an emergency meeting with his PR team. Issue a statement. My personal life is private, no further comment. And contact every outlet that ran the story. Tell them to pull it down or face legal action. Mr. Cole, that might make things worse. I don't care. Do it. Alone in his office later, Ethan stared at the city lights. His empire, his success, the thing he'd sacrificed everything for. It meant nothing, less than nothing. He looked at the twins' drawing still pinned to his wall. 3 stick figures, a family he'd been part of for just a few weeks. He'd had everything: love, family, purpose, and his paranoia had destroyed it. His phone rang. Principal Harris. "Mr. Cole, I'm calling to inform you that given recent events, we'll need to suspend your volunteer privileges until this situation settles down." "I understand. I'm sorry, but we have to think about the children. The disruption." "I understand," he repeated. "Thank you for calling." He hung up. Another door closed. Another connection severed. Ethan pulled the DNA results from his drawer, the document that had cost him everything. He fed it into the shredder, watching it turn to ribbons. Too little, too late. By Wednesday, Naomi was falling apart. Parents at school gave her pitying looks. Some avoided her entirely. Others asked inappropriate questions. "Is it true you kept his children from him? Did you do it for money? How long were you planning to hide them?" She stopped going to the teacher's lounge, started eating lunch in her classroom. The twins sensed her stress and became clingy, crying over small things. During reading time, Ava asked, "Is Ethan coming back?" Every child in the class turned to look at Naomi. I don't know, sweetie, but I miss him." "Me too," Mia added quietly. Naomi's heart broke all over again. After school, she had a panic attack in her car. Her breath came in gasps, her vision blurred. The steering wheel felt too far away. A knock on the window made her jump. Mrs. Patterson, the veteran teacher, peered in with concern. "Honey, you need to come inside, you're hyperventilating." Mrs. Patterson helped her back into the school, into an empty classroom. She brought water, spoke in a calm voice, talked her through breathing exercises. "I can't do this," Naomi gasped. "I can't handle the whispers, the questions, the girls asking about him. Then maybe it's time to stop fighting it." "What? You're exhausted, Naomi. Exhausted from carrying this alone. Maybe it's time to share the burden." "With Ethan, after what he did?" "He made a mistake, a big one. But people make mistakes when they're scared. That doesn't excuse—" "No, it doesn't. But it explains it." Mrs. Patterson squeezed her hand. "Those girls need their father. And whether you want to admit it or not, you need help. You can't keep doing this alone." After Mrs. Patterson left, Naomi sat in the quiet classroom surrounded by tiny chairs and colorful posters. Was she being stubborn, punishing Ethan at the expense of her daughters? That night she tucked the twins into bed. They'd been sad all day, both of them. "Can we pray for Daddy?" Ava asked suddenly. Naomi froze. "For who?" "For Daddy, so he comes back." "What? What makes you think Ethan is your daddy?" The twins looked at each other, then back at her. "We just know," Mia said simply. "He has eyes like us, and he loves us. We can tell. Children's intuition. Pure and uncomplicated." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "Okay, we can pray for him." They clasped their small hands together. "Please, God," Ava whispered, "bring Daddy back. We miss him, and Mommy's sad." "Amen." "Amen," Mia echoed. After they fell asleep, Naomi sat on her porch with Mrs. Daniels. "They asked to pray for their daddy tonight," she said quietly. Mrs. Daniels nodded. "They're smarter than we give them credit for. I've made such a mess of this. You've done your best in an impossible situation. Have I? Or have I been selfish? Punishing Ethan for old wounds while my daughters suffer? Only you can answer that, child." Naomi looked up at the stars. "I don't know what to do. Maybe start by admitting you still love him." The words hung in the night air. "It doesn't matter if I love him, trust matters. And I can't trust him. Can't or won't." Before Naomi could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Ethan. I'm sorry I didn't ask for your number properly. I just wanted you to know I fired the person who leaked the story. I've threatened legal action against the outlets, and I'm stepping back from my company for a while. Whatever you need, however I can help protect the girls, I'll do it. Even if that means staying away. I'm sorry for everything." Naomi stared at the message for a long time. "I'm stepping back from my company." The Ethan she'd married would never have done that. Work had been his entire identity, his purpose. Maybe he really had changed. Or maybe this was just another temporary gesture. She didn't know what to believe anymore. Thursday morning, Ethan showed up at Naomi's house. He looked nervous, holding a bouquet of flowers. She opened the door in her bathrobe, coffee mug in hand. "What are you doing here? I know you said not to come back. I know I have no right to ask for anything. But I needed to tell you something in person." He took a deep breath. "I'm stepping away from my company. Not just for a while, permanently. I'm selling my shares, giving control to my business partners. I'm done." Naomi stared. You're... What? I'm done. With all of it. The company, the ambition, the obsession with success. It nearly destroyed us once. I won't let it happen again. Ethan, that's your entire life. No. It was my excuse for not having a life. My shield against feeling anything real. He met her eyes. You and those girls are my life. Or you could be, if you'd let me prove it. This is crazy. You can't just... I already did. Papers are signed. I'm officially out. But what will you do? I don't know yet, but I know what I won't do. I won't choose work over family. I won't miss bedtimes and birthdays and moments that matter. I won't be that person anymore. Naomi's hands shook. This is too much. Too fast. You can't make life-changing decisions because you feel guilty. I'm not doing it because I feel guilty. I'm doing it because I finally understand what matters. And it's not money or success or building empires. It's them. It's you. His voice cracked. I know you don't trust me. I know I have to earn that back, but I'm asking for a chance. One more chance to prove I've changed, to prove I can be the man you needed me to be 5 years ago. I told them about you, Naomi whispered. The girls. They asked to pray for their daddy to come back. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. They know, Ethan. Somehow they just knew. And they miss you. They're heartbroken that you're gone. Let me see them. Please. I can't keep doing this back and forth. If I let you back in, you have to stay. You have to commit. Not just to them, to everything. To being present, to being honest, to putting them first always. I will, I swear I will. Naomi studied his face. She'd loved this man once. Completely, wholly. And maybe, despite everything, part of her still did. One chance, she said finally. One. If you hurt them again, if you disappear, or get distracted, or prove me wrong, you're done. Forever. Do you understand? I understand. Okay. She stepped aside. Come in. They're eating breakfast. The twins' faces when they saw Ethan were pure joy. They leaped from their chairs, running to him. Ethan, you came back! He knelt down, catching them both. I'm sorry I left. I'm so sorry. Are you staying? Ava asked. He looked at Naomi over their heads. She nodded slowly. Yeah, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm staying. The girls cheered, hugging him tighter. Naomi watched from the kitchen doorway, her heart full of hope and fear in equal measure. This was it. Last chance. Final try, please, she prayed silently. Please let this work. The days that followed were careful, tentative, like learning to walk on ice. Ethan came over every evening after school. He helped with homework, played games, read stories. He was patient with the girls, never rushing, fully present in every moment. Naomi watched closely for signs of the old Ethan, the checking his phone constantly, the distracted nods, the just one work call, but he'd truly disconnected. No laptop, no urgent meetings, no empire demanding his attention, just a man learning to be a father. 1 week passed, then 2. The media attention faded. The gossip at school died down. Life started feeling normal again, sort of, because there was still the question of what happened next, where this was going, what they were to each other. 3 weeks after Ethan's return, a thunderstorm hit. The power went out at Naomi's house just as Ethan was leaving for the night. The forecast said it would pass quickly, Naomi said, lighting candles, but it didn't pass. Rain pounded the roof. Lightning flashed. The twins were scared, huddling on the couch. Can Ethan stay? Mia asked. Please? Naomi looked at him. He met her gaze steadily. Okay, she said. He can stay. They made it into a game, camping indoors. Ethan pulled blankets and pillows into the living room, building a fort. The girls giggled, their fear forgotten. Eventually they fell asleep in their makeshift camp, exhausted from the excitement. Ethan and Naomi sat on the couch nearby, candlelight flickering between them. Thank you, he said quietly, for letting me stay, for giving me another chance. You're doing well with them. They adore you. I adore them. They're everything. The storm raged outside. Thunder rumbled. I need to tell you something, Naomi said suddenly. Something I should have said 5 years ago. Okay. When I left, I was angry, hurt, but mostly I was heartbroken because I loved you so much and it wasn't enough. My love couldn't compete with your ambition, and that destroyed me. Naomi, let me finish. She took a breath. I found out I was pregnant and I was terrified, but also part of me was glad I'd have a piece of you even though you were gone. Does that make sense? Yes. And I told myself I was protecting them by not telling you, but really, I was protecting myself. From more rejection, from more proof that I wasn't enough. Tears slid down her cheeks. Ethan reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. He took her hand. "You were always enough," he said. "More than enough. I was the problem. I was broken and blind and so scared of failing that I pushed away the only thing that mattered. Are you really done? With all of it? The company, the ambition?" "Yes. I don't need any of that anymore. I only need this." He gestured to the sleeping girls, to her. "This is enough. More than enough." She studied his face in the candlelight. "I want to believe you. Then believe me." "I'm scared." "Me too." They sat there holding hands, the storm raging, their daughters sleeping peacefully nearby. And slowly, carefully, Naomi leaned her head against his shoulder. It felt like coming home. Morning light filtered through the windows. The storm had passed, leaving everything clean and fresh. Ethan woke on the couch, stiff but content. The twins were still asleep in their blanket fort, and Naomi was curled against his side, her head on his chest. He didn't dare move, didn't want to break this fragile, perfect moment. But she stirred, blinking awake. For a second she looked confused. Then memory returned. She sat up quickly, putting distance between them. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "Don't apologize." His voice was soft. "I liked it." She blushed, looking away. The twins chose that moment to wake up, bouncing with energy despite the early hour. "Breakfast time," Mia announced. They made pancakes together, all four of them crowded in the small kitchen. Ethan flipped pancakes, while Naomi mixed batter. The girls set the table, arguing good-naturedly about napkin placement. It felt natural, right, like they'd been doing this forever. After breakfast, as Ethan prepared to leave, Ava tugged his hand. "Are you our daddy?" The question stopped everyone cold. Naomi's eyes went wide. Ethan knelt down to Ava's level. "Why do you ask that, sweetheart?" "Because you look like us, and you love Mommy, and you're here all the time." She said it matter-of-factly, like she was stating obvious truths. Mia nodded agreement. "Are you?" Ethan looked at Naomi. She gave the smallest nod. Permission. "Yes," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Yes, I'm your daddy." The twins processed this for exactly 2 seconds. Then Ava threw her arms around his neck. "I knew it, I told you, Mia." "Does this mean you're staying forever?" Mia asked. "If your mom will let me, yes, forever." Both girls looked at Naomi with hopeful eyes. She smiled through tears. "Yes, he's staying." The twins cheered, dancing around the kitchen. They had 1,000 questions. Where had he been? Why hadn't he been there before? Would they change their last name? Ethan answered each one honestly but gently. He'd been working too much and made mistakes. He didn't know they existed at first, and they could keep their name or change it, whatever they wanted. "I want to be Ava Cole," Ava declared. "Me too, Mia Cole," her sister echoed. Naomi laughed and cried at the same time. The girls hugged their father, their actual father, with complete trust and joy. Later, after the excitement died down and the twins were occupied with toys, Naomi and Ethan stood together in the kitchen. "That went better than I expected," she said. "They're amazing. You raised amazing daughters." "We have amazing daughters," she corrected gently. The word "we" hung between them, heavy with promise. Over the following weeks, life transformed. Ethan didn't just visit anymore. He was part of their daily routine. School pickups, dinner preparations, bedtime stories, all of it. He moved into a smaller apartment nearby, selling his penthouse. The twins helped him decorate, insisting on picking colors and furniture. His new place was modest, comfortable, nothing like the sterile luxury he'd lived in before. "It feels like a home," he told Naomi. "My old place never did." At school, the gossip shifted from scandalous whispers to supportive smiles. Parents saw Ethan showing up consistently, saw how the twins lit up around him, saw Naomi gradually relaxing. Principal Harris pulled Naomi aside one afternoon. "I'm glad you two worked things out. Those girls deserve to have both parents." "We're taking it slow," Naomi said. "Slow is good, but don't take so long you forget to live." Naomi thought about those words often. She and Ethan were rebuilding something. But what exactly? Were they co-parents? Friends? Something more? The question scared her, because part of her, a big part, wanted something more, wanted what they'd had before, but better, stronger. But admitting that felt like tempting fate. One Saturday, Ethan took the girls to the park while Naomi caught up on grading papers. Mrs. Daniels stopped by with tea and wisdom. "You're holding back," the older woman observed. "What do you mean?" "With Ethan. You've forgiven him, but you're not letting him all the way in." Naomi set down her pen. "I'm scared." "Of what?" of everything falling apart again, of building something beautiful and watching it crumble. Child, that's life. Nothing's guaranteed. But living in fear isn't living at all. What if he leaves? What if he doesn't? Mrs. Daniels squeezed her hand. What if this time it works? What if you get your happy ending? Aren't you willing to risk it? Before Naomi could answer, her phone rang. Ethan's name flashed on the screen. Hey, everything okay? Everything's great. The girls want to know if you can meet us at the park. They have something to show you. What is it? It's a surprise. Please? Naomi smiled despite herself. Okay, give me 20 minutes. She found them at the big oak tree near the playground. The twins were practically vibrating with excitement. Close your eyes, Mommy, Ava commanded. Naomi obeyed, letting them lead her forward. When she opened her eyes, she gasped. They decorated the tree with paper hearts. Each heart had words written on it in the twins' careful handwriting. Mommy, Daddy, Ava, Mia, family, love, together, forever. We made it, Mia said proudly. Our family tree. Tears sprang to Naomi's eyes. She looked at Ethan, who was watching her with such tenderness, it made her chest ache. It's perfect, she whispered. The twins ran off to play, leaving Naomi and Ethan standing beneath their family tree. They're happy, Ethan said. Really, truly happy. They are. Are you? The question was simple but loaded with meaning. Naomi looked at him. Really looked at him. Not the man who'd broken her heart 5 years ago. Not the paranoid person who'd secretly tested their daughters, but the man standing here now, the one who'd given up his empire, who showed up every day, who loved their daughters with his whole heart, the man who'd changed. I'm getting there, she said honestly. He nodded, accepting that. That's enough for me. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the twins play. Other families moved around them, parents pushing strollers, kids chasing each other, dogs running free. Normal life. Beautiful in its ordinariness. I miss you, Ethan said suddenly. Not just as the mother of my children. I miss you, Naomi. Your laugh, your smile, the way you see the world. I miss us. Her heart hammered. Ethan, I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. He turned to face her fully. I never stopped loving you. Even when I was too stupid to show it. Even when I pushed you away. I loved you. And I love you now. More than I knew was possible. Tears slid down her cheeks. This is scary. I know. What if it works? He echoed Mrs. Daniels' words. What if we get it right this time? I don't know if I can survive losing you again. Then don't lose me. Don't push me away because you're scared. Let me prove I'm here to stay. The twins ran back, breathless and laughing. They didn't notice their parents' emotional moment, too caught up in their game. But the words hung between Naomi and Ethan. A promise waiting to be claimed. Spring came gradually. The school planned its annual play, a production of a fairy tale where love conquered all obstacles. The twins were cast as twin princesses. They practiced their lines constantly, roping Ethan and Naomi into impromptu rehearsals. You have to be the prince, Daddy, Ava insisted. And you have to be the queen, Mommy, Mia added. So they played along, acting out scenes in the living room, making the girls giggle with exaggerated voices and dramatic gestures. During one rehearsal, the script called for the prince and queen to hold hands. Ethan took Naomi's hand carefully. Their eyes met. Neither let go even when the scene ended. The night of the play arrived. Ethan helped backstage while Naomi supervised costumes. The twins were nervous but excited, their little faces serious with concentration. When they took the stage, they were perfect. Confident, clear-voiced, adorable. The audience awed and applauded. During the final scene, all the characters joined hands for the closing song. The twins reached out, grabbing both their parents' hands, bringing Naomi and Ethan together on stage. It wasn't in the script, but it was perfect. After the show, parents congratulated everyone. The twins dragged Naomi and Ethan around, showing off their family with pure pride. This is our mommy and our daddy, they told everyone. No shame, no hesitation, just joy. As the crowd thinned, Ethan pulled Naomi aside near the playground behind the school. The spring evening was warm, stars just beginning to appear. I need to ask you something, he said. Okay. He looked nervous. More nervous than she'd ever seen him. I'm not doing this with a ring, because this isn't about grand gestures or expensive things. This is just me asking from my heart. Naomi's breath caught. Can we be a family again, officially? Not just co-parents or friends or whatever we've been dancing around, a real family. You, me, the girls, together. Ethan, I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I broke your trust and your heart, but I've spent every day since proving I've changed, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving it if you'll let me. So I'm asking—" He took her hands. "Can we be a family again?" Naomi's heart felt too full for her chest. She looked past him at the school, at the place where their story had restarted, then at the playground where their daughters played, then back at him, at the man who'd finally learned what mattered. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, we can be a family." He pulled her close, hugging her tight. She felt his tears against her hair. "Thank you," he breathed. "Thank you." The twins appeared suddenly, as if summoned by magic. "Are you kissing?" Ava asked hopefully. "Not yet," Ethan laughed. "Then kiss her, Daddy," Mia demanded. "That's what princes do." Naomi laughed through her tears. "They're very insistent. Should I listen to them?" he asked softly. Instead of answering, she stood on her toes and kissed him. It was gentle, careful, but full of promise. The twins cheered. Other families still lingering applauded. Someone whistled. Naomi pulled back, blushing, but she was smiling, really, truly smiling. "So we're doing this?" she asked. "If you'll have me, I'll have you. All of you. The good and the messy and everything in between. Even when I'm annoying? Especially then." They held each other as the twins danced around them, singing made-up songs about families and love. Principal Harris watched from the doorway, smiling. Mrs. Patterson stood beside her. "Think they'll make it?" Mrs. Patterson asked. "I think they already have," Principal Harris replied. Months passed. Spring turned to summer. Ethan officially moved in with Naomi and the girls. His things blended with theirs. His books on her shelves, his coffee mug beside hers, his shoes by the door. The house felt full, complete. They had hard days, moments when old wounds resurfaced, times when fear crept in, but they worked through it, talked through it, chose each other again and again. The twins thrived. They had both parents now, together, present. Their smiles came easier. Their confidence grew. One Saturday afternoon, they all went to the park. The same park where Ethan had once dreamed of having a family before he'd lost sight of what mattered. Naomi spread a blanket under a large tree. The twins ran off to play on the swings. Ethan lay back on the blanket, pulling Naomi down beside him. They watched clouds drift across the blue sky. "Remember when we used to do this?" she asked, "before everything fell apart?" "I remember. I was always thinking about work, though. Wasn't really present. And now? Now I'm here. Really here." He turned his head to look at her. "I don't think about what I'm missing at the office or what deal I should be making. I just think about how lucky I am. We're both lucky. No, I'm lucky you gave me another chance. That the girls forgave me. That I get to be part of this family." The twins ran over, breathless and demanding snacks. Naomi pulled out sandwiches and fruit. They ate together, laughing at Mia's silly jokes and Ava's dramatic stories. After lunch, Ethan read them a story. The same book he'd read to Naomi's class months ago, when he was just a stranger trying to find his way back. Now he was their father, their family. The twins fell asleep on the blanket, worn out from playing. Naomi leaned against Ethan's shoulder, his arm around her. "We found our way back," she said softly. "Home was always you," he replied. "I just had to learn that. And now I know. Success doesn't mean anything if you're alone. Money can't buy what matters. And love, real love, is worth more than any empire I could build." "That's very wise." "I learned it the hard way." They sat in comfortable silence, holding each other as their daughters slept peacefully beside them. The sun moved across the sky, casting long shadows. Other families came and went. Life moved around them. But here, under this tree, time felt still, perfect, right. "Thank you," Ethan said suddenly. "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For giving me a chance to be their father. For letting me love you again. Thank you for changing, for showing up, for proving that people can grow." "We both grew." "Yeah, we did." Ava stirred, blinking awake. "Are we going home soon?" "In a bit, sweetie," Naomi said. "Can we come back tomorrow?" "If you want." "I want to come here every day," Mia mumbled sleepily. "With Mommy and Daddy, as a family." "We are a family," Ava agreed. "Forever and ever." Ethan's eyes glistened. "Forever and ever," he promised. The twins drifted back to sleep, secure in their parents' presence. Naomi looked at the man beside her, the one who'd broken her heart and then spent months putting it back together, the one who'd missed 5 years but was making up for every moment now. "I love you," she said, not scared anymore, not holding back, just truth. "I love you too," he replied, "more than anything." The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Birds sang their evening songs. The park grew quieter as families headed home for dinner, but Ethan and Naomi stayed a little longer, savoring this moment, this perfect, ordinary, beautiful moment, because they'd learned what truly mattered, not success or pride or protecting old wounds, but this, love, family, being present for the people who needed them most. The girls woke as twilight fell. They packed up the blanket and headed home, the twins chattering about their day. Walking together, all four of them, Naomi reached for Ethan's hand. He squeezed it gently. They'd lost so much time, made so many mistakes, hurt each other deeply, but they'd found their way back, and this time they weren't letting go. 1 year later, Ethan and Naomi stood at the altar, not in a grand cathedral or expensive venue, just in the backyard of their home, surrounded by friends and family. The twins served as flower girls, taking their job very seriously. Mrs. Daniels cried happy tears. Principal Harris smiled proudly. Marcus stood as Ethan's best man. The ceremony was simple, heartfelt, real. When Ethan said his vows, his voice shook. I promise to show up every day for the rest of our lives. I promise to put family first, to be present, to never take you for granted again. I promise to be the man you deserve and the father our daughters need. I promise to love you in big ways and small ways, in easy times and hard times, forever. Naomi's vows were equally powerful. I promise to trust you, to let down my walls, to stop protecting old wounds and embrace new possibilities. I promise to build a life with you, not beside you, but with you. I promise to love you, not despite your mistakes, but because of how you've grown from them, forever. They exchanged simple gold bands, kissed as their daughters cheered, and started their life again, together this time, really together. 2 more years passed. The twins turned 8. Ethan coached their soccer team. Naomi got promoted to lead kindergarten teacher. They had another baby, a son they named Daniel. The twins adored their little brother, fighting over who got to help with feedings and diaper changes. Ethan started a small non-profit, helping other fathers reconnect with their children. His empire money went to good causes now, to helping families stay together. He never missed a birthday, never chose work over family, never took a single moment for granted. On Daniel's first birthday, they returned to their favorite park for a celebration. Friends and family gathered. The twins ran wild with other children. Daniel took his first steps on the grass. Naomi stood beside Ethan, watching their family with full hearts. We did it, she said. Did what? Built something beautiful, something real. Ethan pulled her close. We did, together. The twins ran over, pulling their parents into a game. Daniel laughed from his father's arms. Friends called out congratulations and jokes. Life swirled around them, messy, chaotic, perfect. This was success, not money or fame or business empires. This, family, love, being present for every moment that mattered. Ethan had learned his lesson. He'd lost everything to gain what truly mattered, had walked through fire to find his way home, and now, surrounded by the people he loved most, he was exactly where he was meant to be. The sun set over the park, casting everything in golden light. The same park where they'd dreamed and rebuilt and promised forever. Home was always you, Ethan whispered to Naomi. She smiled, tears of joy in her eyes. And you were always worth fighting for. Their daughters grabbed their hands, pulling them toward the sunset, toward home, toward the future they'd built together. A future full of love, forgiveness, and second chances. A future where broken things could be made whole again. A future that proved the most important truth of all, that real love, true love, was worth every risk, every fear, every moment of vulnerability. Because in the end, love won. It always did. The end.